It was the worst situation with all the right people put in place for that one moment that my brain crashed.
So it was a normal weekend. We took the long trek back to the backside of our property. No warning, no anything. Lisa just went down.
It was lights out. I don't even remember hitting the ground.
I got on my knees and rolled her over to her side, and Lisa was unresponsive. It's been probably 2 minutes. She's not breathing. She's turning blue. Just started hitting her in the back. She kind of gasped for air at that point, and it's like, oh my God, all right. Like, she's breathing right now, so this is a good thing. Kudos to the 911 dispatch, Snowflake and Taylor here. They were able to walk me through the start of the process and the breaths and the beats and everything like that. Then it's, how are they going to find us?
The first priority was just getting there. Obviously, everybody's high priority, high alert. We're moving pretty quickly. Obviously, because of where it was at, very rural, almost wilderness type location. There wasn't a specific address to that spot.
For this particular call, you know, you get coordinates, and which is like, then your heart sinks.
See this go out. I know the guys that are heading out there, so it makes it really easy to just give them a phone call and be like, kind of the guy sitting at a map.
We didn't know which route was going to be best, so we ended up, one apparatus went one route, one apparatus went a different route to see if we could find her faster.
Because I didn't know how long it was going to take us to get there, what all of the factors were, I said, no, let's not launch a helicopter right now. Let's at least either get there or get closer.
And I'm still doing CPR, and we're going back and forth with the 911 dispatch operator.
Again, I'm scanning all over, trying to just put eyes on where our patient was at that point.
I gave CPR it was close to 45 minutes till I could hear the sirens. That was definitely one of the most relieved times I felt in my life. So I was able to maybe go 100 yards, get on top of a little hill and flag down the trucks, and they could see me.
From my experience, I was thinking, man, chances of survival are almost none at this point, because it's just taken us so long to get here.
A lot of life went by in that 50-minute time frame.
Luckily, as soon as we walked up, she was breathing. And right there, that told me, I was like, oh, okay, we have an incredibly viable patient at this point. I got on the radio and he's like, okay, do you want that helicopter now? And I said, yes.
One of my wife, Lisa's favorite sayings is, you don't have to see the whole staircase, just the next step. So I was really kind of channeling that.
You know, in all that meantime, we were doing treatments. We were starting IVs, suctioning the airway as much as we could.
Helicopter arrived, and it was just a smooth transition right on into the helicopter, and off she went.
I believe it was the helicopter crew had called Flagstaff Hospital, and there's no neurosurgeon on duty that day. And I said, okay, well, what's the next step? And they said, well, St. Joe's in Phoenix. Okay, well, that's where we're going. Not knowing what happens next, that was definitely one of the scariest parts of my life. Because again, it went through all those different steps, and then get Lisa loaded in the helicopter takes off, and then you're just like, well, what now?
She came to us by helicopter. We were ready with everything we needed in case she wasn't stable when she got to us.
She arrived on the helicopter and she was not in a great state at all. Based on the scans we'd gotten and based on the amount of blood in her head, we knew that an aneurysm had very likely ruptured, and all this blood in her head was causing a dangerous amount of pressure. So I remember calling Lisa's husband.
I'm halfway down to the valley, I get the call.
Going through the risks and benefits of the procedure.
We basically need to do this or your wife's gonna die.
We make a small incision in the scalp. We drill a small hole actually through the skull, and then place a drain about the width of a pencil. And that allows us to drain off that fluid. And after I'd placed the drain, we were able to stabilize her enough to eventually get her to the angio suite, where Dr. Ducre and the endovascular team could more definitively treat the aneurysm.
By the time we got down there, it was probably 7 o'clock.
And I remember talking with her husband, who came to the bedside, and really trying to be realistic with what I thought was going to be her prognosis.
I couldn't believe it, all the drama at that point, right? And how severe it was, 6-7 hours, and then to hear about it sounded like a small procedure that's going to be the fix.
In her case, we actually used a special, very small balloon that we inflate at the base of the aneurysm to help shape the mass of coils. The coils are the small springs or small almost slinkies that we place into an aneurysm that's bled to close the aneurysm and to encourage a blood clot to form. And our final pictures looked like the aneurysm was very, very well secured. The blood vessels were wide open and flowing nicely.
It's hard to reconcile that. Stroke, massive, basically dying in my arms. So now we're going to go in through an artery, very minimally invasive, and stop the bleeding in your brain. Like it's mind blowing.
When she first started coming to,
He said, "Do you know why you're here?" That's the first thing he said to me.
she has this really dry sense of humor, and she started like cracking jokes as some of the first words out of her mouth. And I was thinking, she's totally altered.
I thought it was a funny joke, but apparently not.
And her husband was like, nope, she's back. He knew immediately that she was getting back on track.
I remember the joke. I'm not going to repeat it.
But that'll stick with me.
I wasn't worried. I didn't feel uncomfortable. I knew I was safe. That's a good word.
I believe it was 45 days roughly from the day before New Year's Eve when she went down to 45 days back to home with full physical capability. So that's pretty epic of a recovery story.
Her case is among the several, but among the very few that really sticks with me just because of how dramatic her presentation was, how she came to us completely comatose with barely any heart function, not to mention the brain function, and then yet just a few months later, she's walking back into my clinic, shaking my hand, and it's a testament to the kind of care that we were able to provide her. And I think the stroke of luck that led her to be transported directly to us in time to have that ventriculostomy placed and to start the process of stabilization.
Kudos to the ICU staff, the nursing, the techs, the helicopter team that got over to Barrow as quickly as possible. It was all those little things that really add up since time is brain for these patients.
Honestly, I feel like it was the perfect healing machine. And all the parts needed to be there. And they needed to be polished and shiny and in perfect working order.
There were so many people involved before she even got to us, and we are so grateful for their heroic efforts. Without them, she would not have made it to our hospital and given us the opportunity to help save her life.
A lot of the pieces fell into place and it worked out, and I'm super happy about the outcome, obviously, and that's what we're here for.
Thank you to the fire department here, the ambulance crew, everybody, the first responders, and just amazing Barrow and St. Joe's. The staff there really helped save Lisa, so I just thank you to everybody that was involved.
They spend their lives dedicating themselves to this. How do you say thank you to someone like that? You say a prayer for them, ask God to take care of them, watch over them, and give them the same grace He gave me.